Hi everyone, welcome to the Hall Wines Happy Hour. My name is Kathryn Hall. I am so glad that you joined today. We have such a fascinating and amazing guest who's going to come on in just a minute, Shohreh Aghdashloo, who, if you haven't listened to before or watched before, you are going to have just a wonderful conversation ahead. So, let me say that though many of you may have heard that the tasting rooms in Napa Valley are closed because of the pandemic, and we now have complied with the California laws, and as of this evening, our tasting rooms will be closed. However, we're still going to be open as a winery. You can place your orders online, or you can always visit us on our online web store, and we will look forward to seeing you there. So every day except Christmas, we're going to be open. So thank you for joining me, and I can't wait to bring on our wonderful guest. So you have seen her probably most recently on The Expanse, which just premiered this week, so we'll have a chance to talk about that. But Shohreh Aghdashloo is she's an Emmy Award winner. She's been nominated for an Oscar. She has done so many things in her life as an actress, but honestly, so much more as just a citizen of the world. And I am thrilled to be able to bring her on here with us. So let me see if I can find where Shohreh is, and then I want to see if I can bring her on the show. Well, I'm looking for you, Shohreh. I don't see you yet. So I will tell you just a bit about the, well, I don't want to say too much about the show. And those of you who are science fiction devotees, as I am, will know that this is a show that just has a storyline that is so complicated it would take me the whole half hour here just to tell you everything that was going on in the show. But anyway, it's a fascinating program to watch. You find it on Amazon Prime, and you can go back and watch it starting from season 1. I am now on 5th season, episode 3, which is all that's been released. We can't see any more right now. But anyway, Shohreh is going to be on in just a moment. Right now, I'm going to have a little bit of the wine that we're going to be tasting when she comes on. This wine is called Excellence. I picked this for our program today because excellence means ambassador in German. So some of you may know that I used to be oh, I think I just, excuse me just a moment, I think I just see Shohreh here, and I think she is, yes, I think she's going to be coming on in just a minute. I know she's going to be coming on eventually, and there she is. Welcome, my friend. It's
Kathryn.
so wonderful to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you. So this is what it is called, excellence.
Excellence. It is. It's excellence, which is in German. When you speak to an ambassador, you say excellence. If you in French, you would say excellence, but excellence. And I thought that you are such a wonderful ambassador to the world for human rights, for so many wonderful causes. And I was an ambassador as well, so I thought this would be the right wine for us to have together.
It's an amazing wine. Last night, I told my husband, I said, let's try it first. And then I said, how about we try it on empty stomach? Because I'm really sensitive about that. You know, all day you get yourself ready, you arrive at a party or an event, Immediately, they give you a glass of wine, and obviously, you are now unwired, and you drink it, and all of a sudden, you feel a headache, you feel, you know, that. So I said, let's try it empty stomach. We did it. We had it without hors d'oeuvre, a little bit of hors d'oeuvre. Nothing.
Well,
After
I am so glad. So cheers.
I swear to God, I said, darling, how is it? He goes, it's fantastic. I feel, I feel happy, but I'm not druggy. I feel, and we both felt really witty. We started telling each other jokes, and then we had the rest of the bottle with our dinner. Cheers to you. Amazing.
You know, cheers to you. That's just the right thing. You know, my husband, one year, several years ago, for Christmas, I gave him this contraption where you could put inert wine in a bottle. And so if you didn't finish a bottle, you could save it for the next day. But the problem with, which is a great idea, but the problem with that is that my husband and I never leave a bottle unemptied at the end of an evening. So that's good.
Cheers to you.
So cheers.
You must be full of zest.
It is. It has a lot of life. I think so too. So tell me, are you happy that the season has finally premiered, this 5th season?
I can't even tell you how happy I am. It's not only that I had to keep counting days, like for myself as an actress, waiting to see what I did last year. It was the fans, really. They kept asking me, if you know anything, share it. And I'm like, I swear, I don't know anything. I would love to find out. When they told us that finally they were going to release it, that's how I acted. Finally, the expansion. Yeah. Because I knew that I had an answer for the fans.
Yeah.
My God.
So have you shot the whole season? I mean, only the 3 episodes are out so far. So
Kathryn,
are
lucky we were
ha, ha,
on February 12th, right before pandemic.
you're
Right.
kidding.
Only
So you
3
did it
days later.
before COVID.
Yeah, I came home and went into quarantine. This
Oh my.
this one is blessed somehow. Whether people believe in it or not, if they believe in positive energy, they should know that when you're positive and when you put it out there into the universe, no matter what, the result is going to be great. When it's interesting, day one, when they took us, the principals, for a tour of the set of The Expanse, I was with Wes Chatham. We were walking 2 by 2. I looked at the shuttles. I looked at all the manual gadgets there. I looked at Wes and I said, "Oh no, this is not for a year." We were hired for 1 year only. I said, "This can't be for a year. Minimum 5 to 6 years." Every time we talk, Wes Chatham tells me, "How did you know?" I said, I keep saying, I didn't know, but as a storyteller who's been telling his stories for 48 years, I know there are stories they want to be told.
Yes.
It just when the stars get aligned, when the right time comes, this one wanted to be told, and it wanted to be told to the end.
It's so,
Picked up.
I totally agree with that. I think sometimes you just know that the stars all align and it's just, it's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a lady like yourself should know. My God, what a life! What an amazing life you've lived and you're living. Honestly,
That,
my hat off. I mean, you are my ideal. Ladies like yourself who are proving to the world that you do not have necessarily to be, rough and tough and act like, a man in order to be able to work with your colleagues, being male or female, shoulder to shoulder. You can laugh and you can cry at the same time. You can throw parties, lavish, grand parties for the people who need to know, to get to know each other. You can at the same time throw a night for the underprivileged people and start raising money for them and, helping them out. These are the kind of ladies like yourself in this visionary country, in this beautiful, vast country. They are giving me so much hope, not just for this country, for the rest of the world. Every time I see, I have to be honest with you, every time I see an American movie in which the American ladies, women, are not portrayed uh, rightfully or properly, it breaks my heart. Because I keep telling my friends who haven't been to the US, I keep telling them that no, 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 no. This is not a representative of the United States of America's women. They are the ones who make decisions for this country. We don't see them. They're behind the cameras. So, but sometimes, of course, we see a brilliant, brilliant depiction of them on the silver screen, portrayed by brilliant.
So,
So 10
Shohreh,
years
you,
ago, they kept asking
thank you
me,
for the
why
kind
don't we
words
see
that you
more
say about,
honestly,
thank you
from the
for,
bottom of my heart.
oh, thank you. And I am very grateful and honored to hear you say those things about me, but let me say to you, what you do for humanity and what you have done as an example in your career is really, it's just nothing short of inspiring, not only to me, but to everyone. And you have so many fans, many of whom are watching us now. Will you talk just a bit about, I'd love to hear you talk about the causes that you're working in now, but I also, you've had such an amazing career. I mean, starting off as an actress in Iran, and then you've moved, you were in London, and you came to the US. Would you just talk just a bit about your life? That's
Sure.
a,
It's really interesting. I am truly a grandma's product because my mother was too young when I was born. My mother was only 20 years old, and she was an avid reader, in love with Western literature, in love with Bronte's sisters. Every day in our house, Emily, Daphne, Charlotte, Emily, Daphne. I was too little to understand who these people were, and she kept talking about the Bronte sisters. Jane Austen, her favorite. And, it was, uh, it, so I couldn't understand it. I went to grandma, and grandma gladly accepted me and started raising me like a mother in the absence of my own young mother. What grandma did every Friday, equivalent of Sundays in the Western world, she took me to the slum areas. The day before, we would go to the nearest market and we would buy chocolates, sweets, rice, soap, stuff like that. The amount that grandma and I could carry with us. She would call a cab. We'll get into the cab. We'll go to the slum areas. And as though I still am bewildered, how did they know that we were coming? There were many people like us. They would just go there to give, stuff to people. And we would just knock the doors, or some doors were open. And kids will run to the door and say, here, this is for you, sweetheart, this is for you, this is for you. And we'll go back. This started when I was 5 or 6 years old. And what she kept saying, Shohreh, a life without service is not life. Shohreh, a life without service is not a life. I mean, I was raised with that idea. But I started acting when I was 19 years old because apparently I was acting when I was 5 years old because at every gathering parties after the family, and I have a huge family, after the family was done with the food and drink and everything, they would say, now let's call Shohreh in and she would imitate us. And I would stand in the middle of the room and imitate each and every one of them to the point that my uncle got upset and said, no, don't do it again. He had this bad habit of making sure nobody is watching and then he would go. I did it. Everybody laughed. So, 19 years of age, I started acting. 6 years later, the revolution starts. I go to the very first pro-democracy rally or demonstration. And the fanatics started stoning us. A stone hit my head. All of a sudden, I felt like, oh my God, there's something in my eye. What is it? It was already in my mouth, and it tasted better. And I'm like, blood. It must be blood. 12 stitches right here. My friend and I were running through the crowd, and he kept saying, let's get ourselves to the first ER we can find. They had put ambulances all over the city during the turmoil, of course. After that, with a broken head, broken heart, I thought, there's nothing I can do here in this country, being an outspoken young actress. Better I leave, get myself educated, as I always wished for in the UK, and then see what happens next.
Oh, and do you still have family back in Iran now?
I
When you
brought
left?
all, no, I brought all my brothers after 2, 3 years. At the beginning, it was really hard because I drove to Europe, Kathryn. I drove from Tehran to Istanbul to
Oh my
Yugoslavia.
gosh.
Back then, it was Yugoslavia. From Yugoslavia, I was going to go to Germany and then go to South Africa. But Germany announced they needed visas for Iranians. So immediately, I went to Venice, Italy, Venice, South of France, Paris, Calais, London. I sold my car, I sold my jewelries, and I went to university and studied political science, international relations, because I really had to find out what was going on in Iran more than anything else.
Oh my goodness. I mean, was talking just before you joined about how your show has such a complicated story. My goodness, it's nothing compared to your life, Shohreh. Tell me, I mean, of all the things that you've done in your career, I mean, and acting, of course, but
Yes.
what you have done for others, is there any one particular thing that makes you the most proud?
The mo- to be honest with you, the most proud is my first sponsored child in India. Her name is Mamta. I started sponsoring children through, thank God, for Oprah. Oprah had, if you recall, 30 years ago, she started with the World Vision, and she was asking us to help them out, to sponsor a child. I was watching it, and my child was only 1 year old, my own child. I was watching Oprah, and I was crying, and as though she was looking at me or something, or people like myself who were crying, she stopped and she said, don't cry. Pick up the phone, sponsor a child, eye to eye. And I'm like, oh, she's talking to me. My God, she's right, she's right.
She can see me. Yeah.
I called, and I didn't have a good financial situation back then. I could only sponsor one. So I was asked a boy or a girl. And it was like Sophie's choice. I'm like, you choose. I cannot choose. And they're like, where from? The Philippines, India? I'm like, oh, this sounds like Sophie's choice. You choose. So that's how we started sponsoring children. But then at the year 2000, my best friend, a millionaire, decided to leave her posh, luxurious life in San Francisco, go to India, and serve the stray children in year 2001.
Come on. And what town in India did she go to?
Rishikesh, Rishikesh, the most sacred, after Shah Jahan, Rishikesh is the most sacred place in India. It's right at the skirts of the Himalayan mountains, right at the skirt. Every year, these kids, these come from, the mountains. 5-year-old brings a 3 years old, says, "Ma, accept us, please." And we're like, let's find a sponsor for them. So far, I have sponsored 14. My friend,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, every
That
year,
is,
I told my friend, I said, every year when she comes here in the summer for fundraisings and stuff, I do, people like myself do fundraisings at home for her, which I did the last year. This year we couldn't do because of Corona. We just chipped in. But Every year she comes, and we try to do our best to find new sponsors for the kids. And Mamta, my first one.
Well, you have so many people watching now who love you. I'll just say, by the way, I'm right there with everybody else. How, if someone wants to get involved in sponsoring a child, how would you do it? Or get involved in any way that you want to recommend?
It's very easy. The one, a couple of them that I work with, World Vision in the US, Mother Miracle, it is called. mothermiracle.org.
Mother Miracle.
Mother Miracle, which is like a miracle in that remote area, having a great school. Some people say it's like schools, British schools. Last month we had a couple who are having this school is only for underprivileged people, only. Last month we caught a couple who have a great financial situation, but because of the education, the great education the kids receive at this Mother Miracle school, they were trying to cheat us. They were telling us that they didn't have enough money. But I don't blame them. If I were there, I would do the same thing, because you want to put your kid in the best school possible. And this is an English-speaking school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Shohreh, I hope you are seeing, as you speak and inspire the people that are watching, I hope you are seeing all the hearts that are just coming up on the side, and all the hearts from everybody who's watching. And
they bring me so much happiness to my heart. Honestly,
it is so wonderful.
it is amazing. No matter where, I love. Nike once had this amazing slogan: "Think locally, no, think globally, act locally."
Yeah.
No matter where we are,
Right.
if there's someone who's close to us who needs the money more than the children, it's all a matter of priorities and the people who are around us, and they need something, but they don't have the stamina to say it out loud. If we realize that if we don't help, then it means that we haven't done the right thing. If we see it, if we don't see it, that's different.
So true.
Yeah.
So let me just say just a couple words about this wine this excellence to you wonderful ambassador for humanity around the world. So this actually comes off of my a vineyard that's in my backyard in Napa Valley. It's a hillside vineyard. Yeah, and it has it'll give this sort of real dense quality on the wine, a lot of sort of black cherry on the fruit of the wine, and but definitely it's just a real lusciousness.
It's interesting, Kathryn. This one says 2017.
Yeah,
right. But it feels like early 1900. It has body to it.
It does.
Body.
It does. It's a very big wine, but it also it has. I actually think that this wine will be better in 20 years, but right now it's got this just wonderful sort of lusciousness, sort of a baby fat, if you will, just a little bit. It's just so tasty, and that I think it's wonderful.
It's like velvet.
It is like velvet.
Because usually young wine are a little bitter and a bit vicious. You know, they hit you right away. But this one looks like it's been sitting there for a while.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I actually think that a great wine is great at the beginning too. It just changes. It's just like, a great woman. When she's a child, she's with her grandmother, and they are helping people in the community when they go out on trips. And then then time passes, and then she's adopting children and doing all sorts of wonderful things. But I mean, I think that the character of a wine is really established when a wine is really young. Just as I would say the character of a woman is established from the very beginning.
What a great, how beautifully put. You're right. A good wine is like a good woman.
Oh yes. I love that too.
Yes.
And actually a lot, our winemakers are women. Are the head of our winemaking team, our assistant winemaker. They are both women. They're both incredibly talented women. I mean, we have some wonderful men as well, of course, who work with us, but we have some very talented and inspiring women who are part of this operation.
Kathryn, I have a question for you. All the years that you've been fighting against violence against women, would you say that there has been a huge progress ever since? Or unfortunately, we still haven't done enough, especially with public announcements? I remember 30 years ago when I came here, I would see public announcements about violence against women, drugs. Public announcements. There aren't any public announcements around anymore, and we hear less and less about violence against women. I'm wondering, is it because we hear less, or it's because we don't care as much as we used to before?
Well, here's my view on that. I don't think that those of us who care any less. But I think that there are, a lot of what we hear about in terms of issues has to do with the leadership. I think we will begin to hear more about violence against women efforts in the years to come. I also think that the sort of issues that deal with violence against women are still so terribly bad. We haven't, even for all of the efforts all the people around the world have been making, we've hardly made a dent. And there is so much more to go, but it really takes, it's a global effort. And I think that there are some hopeful things on the international front. One of them, of course, is just, I think, the fact that there is some, I think we will see a more attention given to it in the years ahead. But I think in addition, there's some recognition of getting more women on the elected to office. I mean, because one of the things we know is that when more women hold public office, the incidence not only of violence against women decreases, but in addition to that, just issues that support humanitarian efforts in general increase. So there is, I mean, women, issues that deal with violence in women, in my view, are not just about women and violence. It's also just about humanity as a whole. I feel it's a huge subject. You may know, for example, that President-elect Biden was the initial sponsor of the Violence Against Women bill many years ago. And so I'm quite certain that we'll hear a whole lot more of this in the years ahead.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
I'm at your disposal anytime you need me.
Oh,
because I'm dealing with this nearly every day and what is happening around the world, especially in the Middle East. And I would love to do something, but I honestly don't know where to start. So I'm at your disposal. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kathryn.
Shohreh, thank you so much for honoring my program today with your participation, and thank you to all of your wonderful fans who obviously love you so very much for all the reasons that we all know, that all the good that you do for the world. So before you leave, because we are now out of time. Is there any last message or anything you want to say to the folks who are watching us?
Yes. Okay. I would love to tell them that it looks like that we're not close. We're getting further and further from each other, abiding the social distancing. But I'm so happy that our hearts are closer than ever before. And this is what social media is telling me. And this is what we need. The era of divide and conquer is gone. Solidarity. Let's put our hands together and not only make this country a better place to live in, but let it be an example to the rest of the world, which it has been for at least 200 years.
Amen.
Amen.
And so I look forward to seeing you soon again. I hope we can see in person. I will, of course, be watching you on television every night, or not every night, but whenever you're on. But in the meantime, bless you for all the work that you do, and thank you so much for being on today.
Thank you. I'm honored. Thank you so much. So much fun with this.
Bye-bye.
It's it. Bye.
And I'm so glad you like my wine. Bye-bye. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this as much as I did. What a remarkable woman and a gift to the world, not only with the talent that Shohreh has as an actress, but all she does for humanity as a whole. So to you all, thank you so very much for joining. I am glad that you were here, and I look forward to seeing you again. We have some fabulous programs still coming up. We'll be back again next week. In the meantime, to you all, stay healthy and sip up.